Hello students, welcome to the class of English literature. In today's session we are going to discuss chapter 52 49 to 51 of the Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. The lengthy chapter 49 covers several months after Troy's supposed death, from late autumn to late summer of the next year. It charts Gabriel's increasing success. Bathsheba relinquishes control of the farm, letting Gabriel oversee it. Similarly, Boldwood, who has lost all his crops from the previous year because of his neglect, decides to hire Gabriel as well. Gabriel is given a horse and act as bailiff for both farms. Boldwood even gives Gabriel a share of his profits. The farm laborers comment that Gabriel is miserly because he refuses to change his lifestyle despite his new property. In the meantime, Bathsheba lives in a state of abstraction. She does not fully believe that Troy is dead and only reluctantly wears clothes of mourning. Boldwood develops hopes that in 6 years, the period legally necessary for a missing person to be declared dead, Bathsheba may be willing to forget Troy and marry him. He quizzes Lydie about the likelihood of her mistress remarrying. His preoccupation is turning into a full-blown obsession. Chapter 50 is built around the Green Hill Ship Fair, where farmers and shepherds meet from all over the countryside in September. Hardy describes the fair in detail. Gabriel's ship from both Boldwood and Bathsheba's farms are universally admired. The fair also contains a circular tent of exceptional newness and size, in which a theatrical show is being performed. Called the Royal Hippodrome, performance of Turpin's ride to York and the death of Black Bess. It stars Troy as the lead role. We see the farm laborers, Poorgrass and Coggan in the audience, engaged in comical bickering. The narrator briefly explains that Troy has been wandering through England and America over the past few months. In America, he has worked as a professor of gymnastics and sword exercises, but not liking it, he has returned to England. He intends to wait and see what Bathsheba's financial situation is before revealing his presence to her. Not wanting to be held financially liable for her maintenance, in the meantime, he has taken up with a traveling circus. Boldwood approaches Bathsheba once the ship have been sold, and he gets her a seat at the show. Troy recognizes her and explaining to the manager that he has a creditor in the audience, and asks if he might perform the rest of the play in pantomime in order to disguise his identity. After the show, Troy thinks that Pennywise, Bathsheba's former bailiff, may have recognized him nonetheless. Pennywise approaches Bathsheba, giving her a note saying her husband is alive, but Troy hides behind her and snatches the note from her before she can read it. Troy and Pennywise go off together to talk. Boldwood contrives to take Bathsheba home from the fair, and on the way he reminds her that Troy is dead and asks her whether she would consider marrying him. He asks her to take pity on him, even though she does not love him. Bathsheba is intimidated by him almost to the point of fear, and through timidity and guilt, she tells him, I will never marry another man whilst you wish me to be your wife, whatever comes. But to say more, it is another half promise. It is another half promise. Finally, she agrees to tell him for certain at Christmas whether she is willing to marry him 6 years later. Bathsheba asks Gabriel for advice a few weeks later, telling him that if she does not give Boldwood her word, she thinks he will go out of his mind. Gabriel replies that the real sin, ma'am, in my mind lies in thinking of every wedding day. Why, a man you don't love, honest and true. After their conversation, Bathsheba feels piqued that Gabriel has not mentioned his own love for her. Thank you so much.